Hello and welcome to Zoom Master Part 2, Toolbar Tips. Part 3 will be Toolbar Tricks. There's so many things about the Zoom toolbar, we're going to need 2 different videos to explore all of them. But first let me tell you about Zoom Master. I want you to embrace Zoom to create smooth, skillful, and engaging experiences and become a Zoom Master. This is a series of 8 videos that's going to make up a series, and I want you to have mastery over Zoom. Zoom Master, have control. The ability, the knowledge, the command, the understanding. I want you to feel like an expert. So I want you to take a moment and think 1 to 10 how far you are on the Zoom Master scale. Now, if you haven't seen part 1, I would go ahead and watch this video. You can do it in any order that you want, but make sure to go back to part 1 as we talk about common terminology so that we're all on the same page. The vocabulary is very important, as well as Zoom as a software product and how to control your windows. So it's very important that you watch part 1 to get the full scope of how to use Zoom. So right now, how do you feel? 1, I've never used Zoom before, and 10, I think I'm already a Zoom master. I want you to skillfully use Zoom tools for engagement, successfully manage your classrooms and meetings with confidence, feel excited about using Zoom, and perform like a Zoom master. I want you to think back. If you watched part 1, I want you to think about the one thing that stood out to you that you learned. And I want to know how much you practiced. Nothing is good unless you practice, and Zoom may take hours of practice, just like any other new piece of technology or tool that you add to your repertoire of tools in your toolbox. Zoom is a tool in your toolkit to make you successful in the virtual online world right now. So think back about, did I practice enough? What do I continue to need to practice? And I highly suggest that you take a small group of friends, family, or colleagues and have a regular Zoom scheduled just for the sake of practicing Zoom. So toolbar tips, what are we going to master? I want to go over the audio today. So how to mute and unmute, how to change your microphones, how to test your microphones. Over your video. And the video responds to your camera. If you have multiple cameras, how to change from one camera to another, how to put on a video background, how to make an HD image and control your video settings. This is important. This is where virtual backgrounds are as well. We're going to talk about the participant window, why it needs to be open during your entire Zoom presentation, and what you can do as a host versus a co-host versus a participant, and what settings are associated with the participant window. We're going to talk about chat, why it's important to also have that window open during the entire Zoom meeting or class, and how you can change settings as a host or co-host or as a participant, and how to save your chat and where that chat saves. The last thing we're going to talk about in Toolbar Tips is screen share. How to share a screen, how to allow another to share the screen, and within the screen share option, we're going to talk about how to change your screen share, share with other participants, and also how to use the annotation or annotate button. So let's go to Zoom. Okay, so let's talk about this toolbar. On the left lower corner of your screen, and I'm in full screen, if you can see the bar at the top, it only says Zoom, so I do not have my taskbar anywhere visible right now. I'm doing this purposefully because I want to show you the full length of the Zoom toolbar. So this is my entire screen, okay? So I've changed my picture to a Zoom Master picture. So down here in the left corner, where it says mute, you can tell that my microphone is working and that you're able to hear me because the little green part of the microphone it means go. Green means go, so it's working. I can mute myself by clicking on it and unmute myself the same place. Now, a nice trick is if you mute yourself and then use the space bar and hold down the space bar like an old CB radio, you can talk while the space bar is down, and when you let go of the space bar, the mute will automatically return. Now, mute can be checked as a setting in a Zoom that someone else has invited you to or your Zoom. And so it can be selected where you are muted upon entering the room automatically. So you can choose to do that or not do that when you set up a meeting for your participants. We'll talk about that in a later Zoom. But right now, this Zoom, or this mute is right here is what we're going to talk about. So this little caret here, this little up bar is a drop down box. And whether it drops up or down, it's still a drop down box. You click on that once and it opens. Here's where you can select your microphone. Same as system means whatever you're using that's embedded into your computer, laptop, or device. And then if you have multiple possible microphones, it will list them here. In some cases, I used the headphone microphones and they were wireless. And on occasion, the battery would be about to end. And so I'd have to flip to the computer audio microphone so that I could continue in my meeting. Selecting your speakers, headphones, that's all here, how to test. When you open that up, it automatically tests my speaker and I can say, yes, I hear a ringtone. And then I can talk. I can talk. And it will repeat me if my microphone is working. If I didn't hear myself right now, I would have to check my settings. Alrighty, so everything is good with checking my microphone, my speakers. Let's go back to the drop down. You can switch to your phone, so you can actually be on your phone for audio and be on the video on your device. You can leave computer audio, and there's additional audio settings here. And when you hit the additional settings in both the mute and the start video button, it will bring up your actual settings. So you can go to any of your settings there. Another way to test your speaker and mic. You can use a separate audio device to play the ringtone at the same time. And then you have some settings down here. So I have set that I automatically join audio when I join a meeting. So I don't get that option that every time I enter a meeting, it says, do you want to join by audio or do you want to join by your phone? You can set that it gives you a choice. But since I use the same one all the time, I just want it to be automatic for me. I can also mute my microphone when I join a meeting. Now, I do not have that selected to be automatic because most of my meetings are with friends, colleagues, and we start talking the minute we're in the meeting, so I don't mute myself. And just because I don't mute myself, this means on a meeting that I schedule and it's my Zoom meeting. I may not have this selected, but if someone else has it selected that invites me to a meeting, it may automatically mute me when I enter that meeting. So I will have to unmute if I want to talk. Enable stereo sound. So definitely go here and you want to select this so that your sound quality is better. And I actually have selected press and hold space key to temporarily unmute myself. So I'm going to give this a shot and I'm going to come down here to the left corner. I'm going to mute myself and then I'm going to use the space bar to talk. Watch what happens. So I've got the space bar down. And I release. And it automatically returns me to mute. This is a fantastic feature, but it will not work in your Zoom meetings or classes unless you have this box selected for you. All right, and then sync buttons on the headset. This is just something that you should select if you have a headset. Advanced settings, you can suppress persistent background noise. That can be audio, or you can actually disable it or make it aggressive. So trying to get rid of that background noise. Intermittent background noise and echo cancellation. So if you find that your microphone echoes when you're on a meeting or a class, you can come here and instead of auto, you can make it aggressive and it puts a stronger control on that. So if you're having sound difficulty, this is the place you want to go. All righty, we're going to get out of that. So that's one place that you can mute yourself. I'd like to show you another place. I'm coming to the participant window, and when I open this window, I can come over and hover over myself and mute myself from here. As you can see, there's a third place to mute myself, and that's within my actual window, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to close this participant box. How do I get rid of this? I come up to my little down box here, my little drag down, and I want to close it. So I go back to full screen. All these little up and down arrows actually have a big use to them. So definitely check those out. So let's go to start video. I have my video off because I've got my picture on here and that's what we're going to do. And then I'm going to go to my drop down box and I can select a camera. So if I have two cameras, in this computer I actually have an integrated webcam that faces me And then I have a rear integrated webcam, which will face forward, the same direction I'm facing. And I can just change those back and forth. Now you may have a webcam, that would be a third selection. So you want to make sure that you select the right one. I'm gonna pass virtual backgrounds right now. I'm gonna go down to video settings first. We're gonna open that box. And I want you to note that all of your settings come up here. And there I am. And so here's where you can view what you're going to look like. Now I have a virtual background, and on this particular background, on this particular screen, it's not working so well. See how I disappear? I'm kind of a ghost. We can work on making that better. I can also rotate my image here. And sometimes I've been in meetings where people have come on and they are upside down and they don't quite know how to get themselves back. So you have to go into the drop-down box on your video, and this will open and you can rotate yourself back where you belong. Alrighty, this shows me the camera I'm using, whether I want widescreen or original ratio. What does that look like? On mine, it doesn't change at all. Depends on the model of computer you have. I enabled my HD. That makes your image sharper and crisper. I want to mirror my image. You do want to select this if you're using a virtual background. Touch up your appearance. I think everybody wants to do that. Let's scroll down here. Always display participant names on their video. I suggest this so that you know who you're talking to and who's talking. And we're going to get more into the naming of your participants when we talk about the participant box. Turn off my video when joining. I don't have this automatic selected, but you could, and then you could choose whether or not you're going to be on video. But at any time during the meeting or when you enter a meeting, you can change that setting automatically by the button down here on the left, stop and start video. Always show your video preview dialog. That means, do I want to be on it in this meeting or class or not? So I don't have that selected, but you certainly can. Hide non-video participants. Spotlight my video. I don't want to hide my non-video. I want to see who's on the phone and who's in the room entirely. So I personally do not select that. Spotlight my video. That when I have that selected, every time I talk, it takes over everyone's screen. So you lose the gallery view. I call it the Brady Bunch view. You lose the gallery view if you have that selected. So some people I've been in meetings with, they are like, I can't see everybody. I can only see myself when I talk. So you're going to want to come in here to the drop-down box on the video, and you're going to want to uncheck that. That's probably what the problem is. If you don't get to see video, there is a troubleshooting box here, and it'll tell you some things to try. Once again, it opens up all your settings within this box. There is advanced. I suggest you go here. I've got enable the denoise, so it's going to make the noise in the background worse, and enable hardware acceleration for virtual background, for video processing, for sending video and receiving video. I suggest you go in and select all of these. Your video rendering method, this is how the video changes when you save it for your recordings. And so I just have mine selected on auto. Nothing has been an issue with that. So I would suggest that you do that. So let's go ahead and go out of that. And we have one more thing to explore in the start video, and that is the virtual background. Let's open that up. If you haven't noticed already, there's multiple ways and multiple windows to do the same thing. There's not just one place you find something. That's why it's a little overwhelming and confusing to some people, is because you think you know where it is and find it somewhere else. Is that different? No, it's the same thing. They have multiple ways of getting there. So here's how you choose your virtual background. Now, if you have none selected, you need to download some, either from the internet or a picture or video you already have. And be careful with videos. We don't want an actual video playing in your background. What it means is a virtual background with movement. So let me go ahead and go to the Aurora Borealis here. And as you can see, it's moving in the background. That's what's meant by video. And it's got my little video icon down here. Hawaii also moves, watching the waves roll in. But then I've got still pics, San Francisco. And when you've selected mirror my image, it means that what you see on the screen yourself is going to look backwards, especially if you have words. So let me show you what I mean. And by the way, this is my kitten, Benihana, my Bengal kitten. And one suggestion is the HWI. I work for Health Workforce Initiative. And as you can see, my picture is correct. What you see is correct, But for me, I see it backwards. That's called mirror my image, and that is perfectly okay. Here is also that I've uploaded a background picture of me. I see people do this, and I only did this to show you what it looks like because that's probably not the virtual background that you want. You don't want to see two. Well, you may want to see two of you, but other people don't want to see two of you. So select either a still pic. We've got some really good, gorgeous pictures here I got offline. That's Idaho. This is an Apple computer. I can hide that Apple. So you want to select something that is not invasive and doesn't take away from the meeting. This is kind of a bold picture, and this one doesn't work well in a lot of virtual backgrounds on a lot of computers. So you want to have a variety of virtual backgrounds to choose from because it depends on the meeting that you're having. Depends on who your audience is. And it depends on what colors you're wearing and how well your internet's working that day as to whether or not you even have a virtual background. Now, I want you to note, if I have none, this is what's behind me, part of my room. I'm going to put on a virtual background here, so you can't see it. And that's one of the reasons you want to use a virtual background, even if it's still pic. You want something professional and then matches the meeting that you're in, okay? I don't use this one. That was just to show people my kitten. So I flash it on and say that's Benihana, and I flash it off into something more appropriate. But you don't want the whole room to be staring at your background. So be very cautious about what you're using and the colors. But also you be careful about what's in your background. If it's not professional, you don't want to show it. If you want to be laying in bed while you're on a Zoom meeting, you don't want anyone to know you're lying on your bed. So use a virtual background. Don't let them see that you're lying in bed. Now I have mirror my image selected here as well. And I do not have a green screen. I have the settings in my computer and the graphic card able to have a virtual background. I didn't at first. I had to play with my settings until it actually worked because it actually said I needed a green screen. That is not always the case. If I did mark green screen, it would actually mess up the image. Now, how do I get more virtual backgrounds? I've actually, this picture right here, this was in another meeting with somebody I just met, and I said, I love your virtual background. Can you share it? And they actually uploaded this picture into the chat box during my Zoom meeting. I grabbed it, saved it, uploaded it here, and use it. So this little plus button right here allows you to add images and videos, and you can pick anything you want, and you usually have to download it onto your computer and then pick that image, and you can add it to your virtual background options. All right, so that's virtual background. Let's come over here to security, and I just want to say that you can lock the meeting. You can enable a waiting room. Let's say that I set up this meeting. I did not have a waiting room. I get in and I decide, you know what, I'm not ready for my participants. I'm not ready for my group. So you can enable the waiting room. It moves everybody out, lets you finish setting up your screen or your PowerPoint or what have you, brush your hair, and then you can let people in as you're ready for them. You're also allowed to change screens here with screen share, chat, renaming themselves, and unmuting. So yes, your host or your co-host can go in and take away the option of allowing you to rename yourself during your Zoom meeting. And sometimes this is because it's distracting. Some people play on the Zoom and change their background pictures, change their name, and they will actually disrupt the meeting, and the host can lock them out of that. Speaking of security, come up to the left upper corner of your screen here and see the little security button with the check mark. This is where you can open and again get all your settings, but over here it can tell you, you can also go to your audio video screen sharing, same thing as down below, but this actually tells you what version of Zoom you're using. Now today is August 1st, 2020, and the latest version is 5.0.4. So that's how you tell what version you're using. You need to go to zoom.us or zoom.com, download the latest version according to the device you're downloading to, and then always make sure to restart your entire computer before you use Zoom again, because if you don't, it can definitely mess you up. We're going to be getting into all these settings in a later Zoom. There's so much about Zoom we need to talk about, but these are the basics. Now the participant box, let's open that up. Like I showed you before, if you hit the little arrow here, you can close that immediately. You can open that back up down here. So it tells me what name I have that will show. And if you look at my screen here, my name is down on the left corner, right down by the mute button for me. I can mute myself here as well. Same mute. Up here, you can also tell who the host is, who the co-hosts are. And if I had more people in this room as a host, I could give my host away. I could make someone else the host and actually leave the meeting if I had to, and the meeting could continue. I can also make unlimited co-hosts. The whole room can be co-hosts. And I suggest you do that if you set up a Zoom to practice Zoom. Make everybody a co-host and share hosting so everyone can see the different versions. Because you're going to have different controls and different toolbar options based upon being a host, a co-host, or a participant. Now for this particular meeting, when I hit more, all I can do is edit my profile picture and rename myself. And that's because I have it set that way. All right, so down here on the bottom of my participant box, I can do a voting with my participants and everyone can vote yes or no during the meeting. I can invite somebody directly from here. I can invite them from another Zoom room, an email, or through my contacts. Rather than actually go out and leave the meeting, go to my email, find my Outlook invite, and forward that invite to a participant that lost their invite or that you forgot to invite. Instead of that, you can do it directly from inside the meeting. You can speed up or slow down. You can go to more. And here's where you can also vote thumbs up, thumbs down, clap, coffee break, need a break, coffee break. If you're a host or co-host, you want to keep your participant box open because if I put this up next to see where it appears up here next to my name? That's telling the host or co-host, hey, give a break. So when you see someone put up the coffee cup, you need to offer your participants a break. How do I get rid of that? I come down and I clear. I can clear all. That makes it go away. Over here, this means I'm on a break. So if I have to run to the restroom or someone knocks on my door and I'm going to keep the meeting on Zoom, but I have to leave, I'll put this up. So if someone goes to call on me and I don't answer, they can look and say, oh, she's on a break. But when I come back, I'll want to clear myself. As a host, I can mute everybody in the room with one button. And you're going to need a co-host or need this participant box open to mute because there's nothing more distracting than being in a Zoom meeting or class and somebody unmuting and taking a phone call. Alrighty, and every time you see the little box, the little window with dots, it means I've got more. So I can mute people upon entry, enable the waiting room, and lock the meeting. Doesn't that look familiar? These are all the same things that are found under security. So you've got more than one way of finding all your tools. So I'm going to leave this participant box open because now we're going to go over to chat. We will talk about polls and screen share later in this one, polls later, and under my more button, I have breakout rooms, how to record, how to upload and be live, and how to add closed captions. We'll talk about those later. But let's open that chat window, shall we? Notice because I have the participant open, the chat open below it, I like to keep these open the entire Zoom meeting or class. Okay, once again, if I want to close it, I can come up here and close it. I can also minimize it or pop it out, and that makes it even bigger. So when you chat in the chat room, you need to come down to the tube. If you want everyone to see your chat, such as, hello, I am your host. Everyone will see that. If I want to chat just with somebody in the meeting, I have to hit this down arrow and select who I'm talking to. Be very careful with private chats because there is no such thing as private chat. So the host is able to actually save and print all private chats, and they have access to that after the meeting is over. So be very careful what you say because nothing's really private. It just means the other participants are not in the same conversation. So let's say I'm on a meeting with 12 people and I've got Heather on the line and there was something I had to ask Heather. I was waiting for this meeting, had nothing to do with the meeting. Then I can shoot her over and it's like a text message and she can talk back with me. Type your message here. Now, this file, what that is to upload documents or images directly to the chat room, and you can do it to individuals or the whole room. So I can go over here and I'm going to go into, let's see, I'm going to go into my Dropbox and, sorry, I'm going to go into my Dropbox because I've got some images in here. And I'm going to go to this file, and I'm going to look for logos, resources, logos. Sorry about that, because I want to put up a picture for California community colleges. So if I grab that, as you can see over here, it's uploading. Now I can't see it or download it because I'm the one who put it up. So I'm hoping I grabbed the right thing. You as a participant, it's going to look different and it's going to say download. And you can download that and save it to your desktop or your documents or just open and view it anyway. So I want you to be able to practice putting images and documents into your chat box. Now, that being said, if you put a Word doc in, sometimes that doesn't work too well. It actually converts it to a notepad, and nobody wants notepad. So PDF that version of Word before you share it, and that's best for everybody. So that is how you upload a file. Now, exciting enough, over here we've got 3 little buttons, and it's not going to be available in every one of your meetings that you're invited to because some hosts have blocked this from you. I don't do that on my meetings, but people can. So this will show me that you can chat with nobody, only me, only everyone, or everyone public and private. So I've got it selected where they can chat, and I can change this during my Zoom meeting. Now, save chat, I have this enabled for all my participants so they can actually save a version of the public chat. They cannot save the private chat, but they can save the public chat themselves. And many meetings, this is blocked out, so only the host can save the chat, but you can make it where everyone can save the chat. Alrighty, so now we've talked about the chat room. Now let's talk about screen share. That's what this green button here is. So if I click the screen share, it comes up with a very confusing window. Select a window or an application you want to share. I suggest if you plan on sharing your screen during a meeting or class, you have all those screens pre-open on your taskbar, on your computer, open before you even start your Zoom meeting, because otherwise it takes too much time. So this would be sharing the screen that we're actually on. This is sharing a PowerPoint that I used earlier. This is sharing my internet from Firefox. This is sharing a video. These 2 slides are from a video that I'm actually videoing right now, from an iPhone or iPad, the whiteboard, and then a couple other documents I have open. You want to make sure and select the right thing. You never want to select the window that has something private that you're going to share the whole room. So let's first share the whiteboard. Everyone has whiteboard. And notice there's a basic and an advanced. With advanced, you can do music or sound. You can do a second camera. You can only do a portion of the screen. And we're not going to get into the advanced today, but we're going to go over the basic. So let's go to the whiteboard. And I'm going to share. All the participants will see the whiteboard. Alrighty. And so with this whiteboard, you can see that my Zoom toolbar moved. It moved to the top of the screen, so I still have access to it. I can pause my share here, and it shows my whiteboard is open. When the whiteboard opens, it will open another toolbar on everything you can do within that whiteboard. Now, if you have the whiteboard, that means every one of your participants can see it. But you always want to double check. Does everyone see my whiteboard? And then you're going to want to maybe describe what you want them to do. Okay, there's lots of features here. If you want them to all type here, and this happens a lot, all of them try to type in the same space. What I recommend is that you first create where you want them to type. So you can put a text box here. You can move it around. It's got the same features as any other program with Word. And so what you might do here is put a window here and say group 1. And they can type there. And then I put a text box in here and say group 2. And then I put in a text box here. Oops, I moved my screen. Text box here. And I say group 3. Before I tell them what to even do, or they're going to be stamping all over your page. Notice that I'm left clicking and grabbing this toolbar, and I can move it anywhere that I want, as well as this one. I can move it anywhere I want. So definitely practice moving your windows, okay? Same with my whiteboard. I can move it anywhere I want. I can actually maximize it to take the whole screen. I can minimize it. We're going to maximize it. And then we're going to move this a little bit out of the way. Let's move it here. All right, so when other people want to write, say, okay, I've divided you in 3 groups. You just had a breakout group. I want you to type the 2 sentences that you came up with in your group under your group name. So you're going to be able to come over and there is a button. I don't have it because I'm the host. But if you're not a host and you're a participant, you're going to have an additional button that says annotate. It's going to be under more and it says annotate. When you click that button, you're going to get this screen down here. And you'll be able to choose this. So you can choose a text and you can come up to group 1, right under group 1, and you can type your 2 sentences. Otherwise, if you don't do that, and then we can move these things so that we can have enough room to do it. We can actually even make things smaller, move them around so that everyone can see what's on the board. Otherwise, everybody's writing all over each other. You can also draw free flow, any of these things, right? So I'm going to do a heavy, and I'm going to say, draw with my thing here. Many people aren't good with drawing. You can stamp, so I can put little hearts, or I can put, you know what? I agree with group 2. I can star group 3. I can spotlight. So here's my spotlight. Ooh, I really like group 3's answer. I can make an arrow, and it actually has my name on the arrow. So if you want somebody, your whole group to sign up for things, which group do you want to be in? And I keeps moving, but I want to be in group 3. All righty, I can erase it all with an eraser. I can format my line width and thickness, the color of line that I want. Let me go back to format. I'm going to make my line green. I'm going to draw thick. I'm not very good at it, but that's how you change your color, your width. If you want to bold something, if you want to change how big you make it, which that's for typing, by the way. I can undo what I just did and make it come back or make it disappear, redo. I can clear the whole thing, all drawings, or just my drawings, or everyone but mine. And I can save what we did on the whiteboard, so I don't have to take a picture of it with my phone or try to save it. I can save it, name that document, and share it later. And then I can get rid of my screen. I can minimize this, I can get rid of this, and I can stop sharing. All right, so going back to screen share, that's how you get the whiteboard. If I wanted to screen share, let's say I want to screen share the internet. I'm going to grab my Firefox and I'm going to say, you know what? Let me move my screen a little bit, minimize this, or move my tool so I can get here. And I want to show you HWI website. And this is the organization I work for with California. And we can look at the whole website together and I can show you how to navigate it and where to find something. And that is my internet because I shared my internet. So I am going to stop sharing. That is how you use screen share. One more little bonus, this little reaction down here, very temporary. And I can either put my thumb up or clap. It's going to appear in my window where my picture or my video is, and it does not last very long. So this is for some temporary communication. It would not be for voting purposes because it disappears within 3 seconds. Let me show you one more thing. If we go back up here to the security window and we go into general, you can change the color of your thumb and clapper. So that is your skin tone color. You can change it here. You can change your meeting reminder, stop your video if your display is off, show how long you've been connected, ask me to confirm when you leave. There's all kinds, use dual monitors, all kinds of settings. And we're going to go more in depth on settings in the future Zooms. But right now, we have met our objectives of going through audio, video, participant, chat, and screen share. So make sure that you practice these and become quite proficient. So now I want you to reassess yourself. Are you any further up on the Zoom Master scale? 10 is on the Zoom Master. How far are you along the scale of Zoom Master? Give yourself a moment, write that down, keep track of it so you can keep track of your progress. You are, though, one step closer to Zoom Master. So here are your post-video activities. I want you to, again, if you haven't done it in part 1, update your Zoom version. Set up a meeting for just you or you and a couple good colleagues. And by the way, you can set up a Zoom and you be the only one in the Zoom room and take your time to explore every feature and use it. Now the breakout rooms and the poll, as we get into those in later Zooms, you're going to need more than one person in the room to practice those. But just to practice the control of the windows, the participant box, the chat, your video and audio, and selecting your backgrounds and changing them, you can set up a Zoom just for you to practice. So go ahead and give that a try. I want you to explore all buttons and drop-down boxes on the toolbar while you're in a meeting, whether that meeting is with yourself or other people. I want you to open the participant window and the chat window, get them moved around on your screen where you're comfortable, and be able to mute and unmute yourself and turn on and off your video very quickly and comfortably. I want you to practice uploading an image or a document to the chat window. Go to your account and find a saved chat or a saved recording. Use this video as a tutorial. Pause, rewatch. Do that with part 1 and part 2. Stop the video, practice as needed, and watch out for Zoom Master Part 3. I'm Wendy Darris, and thank you for watching.